Welcome to the Hopcast. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, and I'm on board Milwaukee's streetcar, the Hop. It's all about connections, it's all about community, and it's all about moving Milwaukee forward. All right, it's a beautiful day here in downtown Milwaukee. We are on the Hop, the Milwaukee streetcar. I'm on board today with a true Milwaukee celebrity. An Emmy award-winning celebrity.
Come on.
5 Emmy Awards, right? Is that right? 5.
Yeah.
All right. He's obviously known for his wonderful Emmy award-winning work, but truly for his authentic nature, personable, authentic one-man shows like Midsummer Night, John McGivern, John McGivern's Home for the Holidays, Kodacombe Christmas. This season, right, at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino at the Northern Lights Theater, it's even more holiday tales with John McGivern. Did I get that wrong?
You did. It's okay, though.
Oh.
I'm doing Kodacombe Christmas this year in Cedarburg and Oconomowoc.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
it's
all right.
okay.
There we go, okay,
Yeah.
so I got that wrong, all right. There's so many shows, there's so much time.
I know.
But you know what? This week is the kickoff for the Holiday Lights Festival here in downtown Milwaukee, so it's full of festive nature. All of your shows are festive indeed, right? They tell the story of you being the third born of 6 kids in a working class family right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, growing up Irish Catholic. Your stories are personal, they're touching, they're authentic.
Thanks.
And your new show, John McGivern's Main Streets, traveled all over the Midwest, right? 6 different states?
6 states.
6 states.
So our surrounding Midwestern states.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it debuts in January of 2023 on PBS Wisconsin.
That's it?
All right.
Yeah, good.
There you go. I got through that introduction. This
Jeff,
is John McGivern.
you know me.
I know. That's the hard introductions are the one where you really know people. And you're a little nervous because, like, whoa, he's a big-time celebrity. So welcome aboard the Hopcast,
Thanks so
John
much.
McGivern. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you
You do a
taking
good
the
job.
time.
I've been watching these now.
Oh,
you got
good.
in touch. It was like, oh, the Hopcast. Let's look. It's a good job.
All
yeah, this is
right.
great.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. So I start every Hopcast with the same question. And we're going to do 4 segments first. We do a little onboarding, get to know you.
Good.
We're going to talk about moving Milwaukee forward. We're going to do some quick hops. And then I do a final destination question. But the first question is just give us the John McGivern story.
Sure.
Yeah.
So born and raised here on
right.
the east side. If you've ever seen one of my shows, I always say that I'm from the east side, and people generally go, oh, and I say, no, because I was raised closer to the river than I was to the lake, right by UWM.
All
Family
right.
of 6 in a first floor flat of a duplex.
Okay.
Was here until right out of 8th grade. Then I was sent away to a boarding high school seminary in Mount Calvary, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Stayed in seminary for a while. Left seminary and moved all over the United States. Came back home to Milwaukee in 2001.
Okay.
And I came back to Milwaukee to help produce a show with the Marcus Center and the Milwaukee Rep. It was a collaboration with the 3 of us doing a show called Sheer Madness, which did incredibly well for all producers involved.
Yeah.
And from 2001, I've been living in Milwaukee, back home, for now 21 years, which is kind of remarkable because I
great.
met you right after I moved back.
I was gonna say.
We were young.
Yes,
Gur.
younger, yes. I remember we were starting a group called Young Professionals of Milwaukee. Now
Yeah.
it's called Fuel Milwaukee out of the Chamber of Commerce. We did a panel discussion and you were on that talking
of that,
about
yeah.
recruitment and retention and so
It's good. It's great to be back. You know, it's so funny to be back 21 years and to realize that all of the work that I've done in these 21 years and how it's all about my success really came coming back home is really how I found success,
Right.
which is remarkable.
Yeah, that's great. And it's all anchored in community. It's all anchored in Milwaukee. I mean, this project alone, you look at the Hop, this was 25 years in the works.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's reshaped the way that downtown feels
Sure.
in so many ways. And
Yeah.
so have your stories. And
Yeah.
that's a great thing. Talk about the new show that's coming, John McGivern's Main Streets. And
I did a show called Around the Corner with John McGivern for 9 years for Milwaukee PBS.
Okay.
In 2020, you know the kind of year everyone in the world had in 2020, which is when the show was canceled, it was finished, and my producer and I, Lois Maurer, who worked for Milwaukee PBS at the time, said, "Are we finished doing this?" And we decided that we weren't. So we approached a production house in town called Plum Media and asked if they were interested in producing and getting on board with a new project. We came up with a show name called John McGivern's Main Streets. We went across the borders of Wisconsin and decided that we would do our 6 upper Midwest states. So we do 2 episodes in Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and 3 episodes in our state of Wisconsin. And we don't go any further than 300 miles from my front door of my condo in downtown Milwaukee. That's those are our borders.
Nice.
So
Very good.
we did season 1, and it aired on commercial stations all over the Midwest.
Okay.
It was on Fox 6 here in Milwaukee last season. After our first season, we were approached by PBS Wisconsin, which is out of Madison. They wanted to be the distributor. So now they have offered our show to 30-some stations in the Midwest.
All right.
And it will begin airing in January.
Nice.
So,
very good.
It's great.
The Sherman household, it's set on the DVR. It's I see it, and it's oh, we gotta watch it again. Here we go. But it's a family event. You know, we all get together, and we love exploring.
Which is the last time I ran into your entire family.
I know.
In Delafield. We were shooting.
Yep.
Look,
there's the mayor. Oh, there's John McGivern. Hey, let's break in.
It was so good. Yeah.
So the show before Main Streets was Around the Corner, and that was all neighborhoods in Greater Milwaukee, correct?
It was all Wisconsin.
So
we never went across a border, but we did 117 episodes in the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it's so funny how people are like, "Have you run out of town?" It's like, no, we could have done another 10 years of that. We really could have.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be back on the road, and we're happy to be covering Wisconsin still.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
So what's one of the most surprising things you've noticed in your travels all around the Midwest? Is it a people-based thing? Is it place-based? You just talk about...
No, it's always people-based. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
No matter if we're talking to somebody who lives or works or plays, because that's kind of the thread of what we do. Like you work here, when in fact it's really the people that's always surprising. Like Lois and I, we thought way back that we would inspire community, which was so stupid of us, because if you go to a community, to someone's main street, and you say, talk to me about this place you live, can I tell you, they're already inspired, and people want to share what they love and what they feel is the best of their hometown. Exactly. So it's always the people that are kind of remarkable.
Yeah, very good. I always say a city's only as good as the stories it tells.
Yeah.
And we all have a responsibility to tell those stories.
We do.
So when someone comes to your community, you want to shout at the rooftops and like, hey, I love this place. Let me take you here. Let me take you there. And that's really the beauty of the show.
And I love how we divide it up. Like we'll sit on someone's front porch to talk about their experience as a neighbor. Yeah. Like, what's your neighborhood like? Like, talk to me about the history of this neighborhood and why you love it here. And then we'll go to somebody's factory that they're the manager of 12 people in a huge organization and what's best. And it's really, I am telling you, it's no matter how you approach it, it's the story of the people.
Very good. All right. So 6 states this next season.
Yeah.
If I looked at my Google map correctly, the northernmost was Escanaba, and the southernmost, if you will, was Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Right.
All right. I've never been to Fort Wayne, Indiana. What are the main streets like in Fort Wayne?
Fort Wayne is kind of remarkable. We did a story about a Catholic museum. So I told you that I was, seminary is my background and the whole sort of Irish Catholic thing. So when they said we're going to be going to a Catholic museum, I was like, huh? What? And it was the cathedral in Fort Wayne, right downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana. The rectory next door turned into this museum of all the stuff that happened around Vatican II. So it was the most interesting, beautifully. What they had in there was really stuff that I was completely interested in.
Nice.
So Fort Wayne had stuff that we'll never find another Catholic museum dedicated to, Vatican II stuff.
All right.
And Fort Wayne, kind of a conservative, Indiana, second largest city in the state of Indiana. Did you know that?
No, I did
Which
not.
I was like,
behind
Fort Wayne?
Behind Indianapolis, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
All right. Got that one right.
And our problem around Indiana is the only problem we have with Indiana and Michigan is that we have to get there. We go through Chicago. Not that Chicago's bad, but to get through the traffic, it's almost like our 2 vans of production are making our way through Chicago. So to get to Escanaba was like, we had to go through Green Bay. This is so much easier.
Yes. Escanaba. So Escanaba, I went to Marquette University. One of my roommates was from Escanaba, and my brother-in-law is from Escanaba. So I've been there a couple of times.
You have.
But I'm guessing people kind of know Escanaba. Didn't Jeff Daniels have a movie like Escanaba in the
Moonlight?
In the Moonlight?
Yeah.
Is that something when you're filming in Escanaba, does everyone talk about it? They're still pretty proud of it? Yeah.
They do. So you've been to Escanaba?
I have, yes.
So you
yes.
realize what that park that they have? Do you know the park? That it's on the east side of downtown.
Okay.
It's acres and acres of the most beautiful parkland. I mean, it really is like,
nice.
What is a town of this size doing with a park that is like this?
Yeah,
So
nice.
I was taken. They wanted me to catch fish there.
Oh, okay.
So they were like, "We're going to go out on the boat," and I'm like, "No, because once you get on a boat, there's no way of getting back until they think it's time."
So did you catch anything, or did you just
Nothing.
Just kind of
The woman who owns a lure company, who's 23 years old,
Ooh,
and she
nice.
designs her own lures, she makes her own lures. She's the one that took us out,
All
and
right.
it was like, okay, come on, we got. She caught some.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
I cast, and she was like, "Oh, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a simple man."
Yes. All right. So, as you go travel through these 6 states, have you found a favorite store, like a retail destination? Like, wow, this is truly unique. And what about? Sure, it's probably hard to say. Yes, I met one favorite person, but talk about kind of a favorite retail destination and a favorite person you met along the way.
There's a bookstore in Iowa City that was kind of the favorite thing from last season.
Okay.
And there's a woman named Samantha Chang, who's the head of the writers' workshop at University of Iowa in Iowa City.
Nice. Okay.
Who just came out with a book that she was my interview there. And
nice.
the bookstore was great, and it was so interesting because she's known for what she does for writers, and graduating from Yale and Harvard, and we brought a camera, and she said, "I've never been so nervous in my life." And here is this accomplished writer with a book that's on the New York Times bestseller list, and she was so nerved out by it. Which is so interesting to me. So you deal with people who this is not what they do, and to try to put them at ease is really my job.
Yeah.
She was one of my favorite interviews, and that place was one of my favorite this season.
Very good.
Yeah.
Iowa's a gem. Like if you've never been to Iowa, like there's a lot of creativity in Iowa for a state that
And
maybe doesn't get
Iowa
a ton
City.
of exposure.
Iowa City, which is known as the literary capital.
Okay.
I'm like, of what? And she said, the world. I'm like, okay. Now I know. Sorry, I questioned it.
You want to read? Go to Iowa. Also, great corn. And little side note: my grandfather and grandmother grew up in Iowa.
Is
The
that right?
Sherman Buffalo Farm is in Iowa. Nora Springs. You ever heard of Nora Springs,
No.
Iowa? No. About 3 people have. Really small town outside of Clear Lake.
Oh, okay.
But like Des Moines and Iowa City and all those. Iowa's just
We did
really
Iowa
cool.
City in the Amana colonies. Do you know much about the Amana?
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
But,
Yeah.
All right, I'll put that on the list for
Please,
the next time to
Yeah,
Iowa.
yeah.
All right.
Good.
I want to talk a little bit more about TV. I saw in one of the articles about you that Comedy Central, you were on Bill Maher's first show, Politically Incorrect?
I was on. I did the
which
first. There was a series of gay comedy specials in the early 90s.
Okay.
So I was on the second.
Comedy Central?
On Comedy Central.
Okay, all right.
It was called
Nice.
Out There. And I was
Okay.
on Out There 2, which was the second one in 1993.
Okay.
And right after that aired, I was invited to be on Politically Incorrect. So it was about coming out day.
Okay.
And it was about this gay comedy special. I was one of 5 comedians that was on that. And so it was just a segment that we talked about, but
Yeah.
I sat next to Sally Field.
Ooh, nice.
I know. It was like, oh my God, I love you. She was like, yeah, you're part of the gay special, aren't you? I was like, come on.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So did you do a lot of stand-up early in your career? Was that the...
After that
trajectory?
special I did,
Yeah, okay.
I was sent out. I did a lot,
Yeah.
which was so funny because you did a special on Comedy Central, and it was an all-gay special, but I was sent out to do, just comedy clubs.
Yeah, right.
So I'd be in the middle of, Idaho,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, "Here's from the all gay special," and people were like, "Did they just say gay?" Like, oh no, let me talk about hunting. I love the plaid. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about
Brought 'em
hunting
together,
is the
yes.
outfit. So, but I did a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Which I don't do anymore.
No,
I mean,
all right.
now I do theater, which is so much easier.
Yeah.
And then people kind of buy tickets to see you.
Yeah.
So.
Good. All right. But you were, movie-wise, you had a role in Princess Diaries,
I did.
right? So describe that experience and what was your character and what?
I was doing Sheer Madness in San Francisco.
Okay.
And Gary Marshall came to see Sheer Madness. And after the show, after Sheer Madness, he waited and said he was doing a movie and would I
Okay.
be interested? And it's like, yeah, sure.
Nice.
So, shot it in San Francisco, and then shot like for 2 days in Los Angeles. The if you watch the movie, you will see me at the ball waving.
Okay.
But there was so much more done that I was just kind of cut out of the ball.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was a great experience.
Cool.
And that's where I met like Julie Andrews and
Okay.
Anne Hathaway's first film. So one of the first scenes was us on the trolley and
Okay.
her standing by the trolley. So, and Julie Andrews I spent 4 days shooting, and she was so incredibly kind and
Yeah.
the most foul-mouthed sort of.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
She would mess up and just F-bombs, and I was like, oh my God,
Nice.
I can't believe it.
That's
So,
the good stuff. That's like the behind the music stuff
was
that
so
you really
good.
want to know. Yes.
Yeah.
So you said earlier that you really enjoy the live theater. I mean, when you compare TV, movies, even podcasts that you have, is it live theater that's still like, wow, that's what drives me, or is it just everything?
No, it's kind of all of it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
love the kind of schedule around TV.
Yeah.
That there's a real schedule around it. This is, I know that I'll leave on Tuesday morning. I'll get back
Yeah.
on Friday morning.
Right.
That there's a group, which I usually do stage alone.
Okay.
So the fact that there's a group of 6 or 7 of us out on the road together, and that I just kind of feel like I'm part of a coworker team.
Yeah.
And TV is so kind of different than theater as far as personality goes. Those that make TV are different than those that make live stage theater.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoy that.
Yeah. Good. All right.
So-
Do you have a book in you? Is there going to be a book on all your experiences in your life coming? Just seems like there should be a John McGivern book. I don't
We're
know why.
looking at doing a coffee table book around all of
nice.
the images we have
Oh,
for main
okay.
streets.
Right.
And, I wrote for the Journal Sentinel and for Milwaukee Magazine,
Okay.
Magazine for 18 months. And we would pick a community that I would write about for 18 months where
Okay.
we hoped that people would then get in their cars and take a visit to.
Nice.
So we're going to take those essays
Okay.
and reformat and kind of redo and make a Wisconsin visitors sort of.
Okay.
That's what we're working on.
All right. Nice.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Very good. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I always like to ask the question, if you had kind of the magic Milwaukee wand, what's your wish for Milwaukee moving forward?
Well, it's so funny how since I came back and you look at, all you have to do is look at the street I live on to realize what's happened in the last 20 years. And I live on Juneau at Prospect.
Okay.
So go west from I live at the Knickerbocker. Go
Right,
west
okay.
from where I live to see what's happened to this city. And you look at all the growth at MSOE, and you
Yeah.
look at all what they've done to that area of downtown. Cross Water Street and see what's going on in
West Town and the Deer District.
no,
and-
it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Pap City,
Yeah.
all of that talks about what happened. When I moved
Yeah.
back, there was still that expressway that took you to the pick and save.
That's
Do you
right.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I remember,
I mean,
yes.
look at all of that. So you
Yeah.
hope that something like this. I lived in communities and cities that the hop. All anybody would have said is that this needs to be extended. Like
Yeah.
this needs to go to the airport, this needs to go
Yeah.
north so that people use this to get to work. Something like this needs to happen in this community.
Yeah.
Because any city, any modern city that's worth its weight
Yeah.
deals with public transportation.
Oh, without a
It's
doubt.
really important.
Yeah. And the connections to the community and the neighborhoods.
No
and
doubt.
The next extension for the hop will go down Michigan Street to the lakefront. So through the Couture, there'll be a transit stop there, and you'll be able to get to the Art Museum, to Summerfest, and then hopefully we'll be able to expand south and north. So it's really, it's a vehicle that helps bring neighborhoods together, but also incents development, and that's, to your point.
Well, it's funny how you talk about this, and we who, what it takes is eyes that aren't ours that live here to realize how great it is. So I have friends who just were up from Chicago. So they took the train up. They took this to my place.
Okay.
They look at Milwaukee and they say how much easier it is, how clean it is, how traffic, it's like, so I tell people that if you've never moved away from here, get out of here, so that you can come back and realize just how great it is. And it's, so I have family that lives in Ozaukee County who are like, the hop, what's with the hop? It's like, you don't have to use it. And if we who live downtown, we who live in this city, we are committed to Milwaukee. We love it.
Right. So bring the family on the hop, put the phone down, and look up and look around. And you experience the city in a different way when you're on transit. You just do. And that's another beautiful thing about it.
Right.
So of all your travels, are there one or two things that you've seen you're like, wow, I wish I could bring that to Milwaukee? A store, a development, a creative place, a show, like...
it's interesting because, we go to places that aren't always tourist centered.
Okay.
So we were in Holland, Michigan.
Okay.
In Holland, Michigan, they have something that in the middle of the winter, in the middle of downtown, you will never see a sidewalk that has snow in it, because they were smart enough 12, 15 years ago to make sure that all of downtown had a button that somebody could push and all of the snow would be melted. So there's something around that brings shoppers to downtown, brings tourists to downtown, and I thought, well, why isn't this everywhere?
That's a great
this
idea.
Sort of making sure that it's convenient. So the streets and the sidewalks are cleared in the middle of the winter.
That's
not that I'm not sure how they do it.
Well, we'll put that on the list. Let's just get a street. Just one main street that's heat activated. There will be no snow. It's going to be clear for you
in the shopping area.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Done. All right. Very good. I am going to talk. We're going to kind of transition here and just do some quick hops.
Okay.
10, 15 kind of People Magazine-y type questions, all right? All right, here we go. We're going to get to know Mr. John McGivern even more. So, first, what book are you reading right now?
John Irving's, he has a new one, The Last Chairlift.
Okay.
Which is a tome almost. It's like 980 pages, and I just started. It just came out 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And John Irving is my favorite.
Nice. Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my list.
Do.
An insider tip for somebody coming to Milwaukee for the first time?
Get on the hop and take a look.
All right.
Take a look, because it's this. The fact that downtown is a neighborhood is really something.
Yeah. Very good. All right. So, best conversation you ever had? I mean, other than this one, of course. It's like a loved one, or you just look back like, wow, this conversation just meant something.
Yeah. It's usually around family with that. Yeah. We lost my mom during the pandemic, so not because of the pandemic, but my mother was well until the day before she died. And the day before she died, she said, I don't really feel well. And I went over because she lived at the Milwaukee Catholic Home, which is 3 lights from where I live.
Right. Okay.
So I was the one who was in charge. Right. And we sat that afternoon and talked about her favorite, like my brother Jimmy lives in Atlanta. And I would be there twice a week, and every time I went, she'd say, Jimmy called, and I'd be like, who cares? I'm here. We had a conversation around my brothers and sisters, and the next day she went in and passed. So it was like, I remember it incredibly well.
Wow, that's like, it's almost meant to be.
Right.
Like there's a way to the world. Wow. Who's your hero?
Right now,
Yeah.
I have a partner of 19 years
Okay.
who is the kindest, sort of most level-headed, hard-working guy, and right now he's my
Nice.
hero.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Nice.
And after 19 years, I'm telling you, I thought it lasted 2 weeks. I keep saying to him, are you gonna, and I know, I'm 68, I'm like, are you gonna break up with me? And 19 years later, it's the best.
Yeah, to have that love and respect
It's so
after
good.
19 years, that's what
Yeah.
it's all about. That's
Yeah.
that's great. Favorite city other than Milwaukee?
Oh, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I like Key West.
Okay. Nice.
We go. I like
Okay.
Atlanta, which
Yeah.
I lived in Atlanta for a long time.
Okay.
I like Wapaka.
Wapaka.
Have you been to Wapaka?
I have not.
It's a
no.
good one.
I've been through.
My
but-
family has a summer home up there.
Okay.
So
Nice. Okay.
it's nice.
Okay. All right. So, a piece of advice for somebody that wants to get into TV right now or get into broadcast. Like, I'm sure you have a lot of people ask, like, hey, how to, like, maybe not, but stay away. Get behind the camera.
It's so funny because when you think of, I have, people in the media, so it's like, I have a niece who is a investigative reporter in the 10th market in the country, which is Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
So, hers is news and all of that. Like, that kind of life is really hard. Like,
Yeah.
people, the newscasters and reporters, like that's a life that is great when you're between 20 and 35. And then it's like, who can live with a schedule like that? We have the best schedule for the kind of show I do, but not many people get a chance to do this kind of show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell
So
them, what if that's all you really? That's like people who come to me and say, as far as acting goes, what advice would you give me? I'm like, do you like anything else? Because if you do, go do that, please. Are you good at numbers?
Go finance.
Go, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do that.
So,
I always loved your one-man shows talking about growing up on the east side
Right.
and all the memories. Like, what's a couple really just signature John McGivern childhood memories?
Saints Peter and Paul Grade School,
Okay.
which is so funny
Yeah.
now that they sold the school. So that school on Kramer that you
That's
see
right.
in the news now that they want to make into a wedding event center.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I do that series of grade school stories. So first grade is my first venial sin, fourth grade my first mortal sin, and eighth grade where I got to do both sins. And I always talk about Oakland Avenue and that being my downtown.
Mm-hmm.
That Oakland between Kenwood and Locust, those businesses is where I first, kind of saw the world, and all of those merchants on that street that were from France and Germany, and who really gave me an insight into a world outside our neighborhood. I
Yeah.
talk about that in my shows and
Yeah.
how I delivered a paper. I delivered the news, but what I learned was the world on that one block on the east side of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I look back on that. And I drive down Oakland. I purposely drive down Oakland all the time just because it brings it all back.
Yeah.
My mother, before she
good.
passed, we would get in the car and take a ride, and she'd be like, "Don't." I was raised on Bartlett between Kenwood and Hampshire,
Okay.
in the neighborhood that's all kind of students now.
Okay.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
absentee landlords,
Right.
where there's couches on the lawn.
Patios and the keg parties and yes, nothing in GBM, but hey, it's
My
a little
mom was
different.
like, I don't want to see it. That was art, because it was all homeowners then, and
Yeah.
people, it's funny. But that east side is still calls
yeah.
my name loudly.
Totally, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a wonderful eclectic mix of restaurants. You got Oakland Gyros still. Like there's
The
still
best.
a wonderful kind of intersection of, you have the students, you have 70, 80-year-old. Like there's just a great diversity on the east side.
Lisa's Pizza, which was, I delivered the newspaper to them.
Oh, nice.
And the same place.
Okay.
So, and that, I was 12, 13 years old when I delivered the newspaper. It's in the same place, same family.
Sentinel or Journal?
I deliver the Sentinel to the St. Mary's Hospital, and the Journal on that
so you
one.
did Sentinel and Journal morning and evening,
Because as my World War II father used to say, you don't want to die, and there on your grave it says, here lies a lazy man. When he said that to me, I said to him, I'm 8 years old.
Come on.
What do you want from me?
Get back to work.
You know, I tell that story too, that I graduated from 8th grade with over $1,200 in the bank because my father made sure that I had that bank account and that. And so even to this day, I'm, you know, the voice in my head, as long as people don't believe I'm lazy, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know? It's so funny how those messages run deep.
True. Yes. All right. Well, so we're kind of coming through downtown here, heading back to the intermodal station. I always like to do a final destination question, and I'm really appreciative of you taking the time out of your day to ride the hop and do the Hopcast.
It was great.
So, define success for us, John McGivern.
Define success.
Define success. Wow. Yeah.
Well, again, it's connected to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, success for me is this relationship of 19 years. It's my 5 brothers and sisters that there's not a moment that we've ever had where it's like one of my brothers is like I talk to my sister Colleen every morning. I have a great business in what I do, you know, if it's TV or if it's like whatever I do, I like to do.
Yeah.
So people are like, "Are you going to retire? Why retire? What does that even mean?" You know, I like what I do, and I'm going to continue doing it. My partner and I also have a business called Home in Milwaukee. We own a dozen condos in the building we live in that have, through the pandemic, when I didn't work for a year and a half, kept us really good. You know, and that's a successful business. But business-wise, it's great. But the fact that I have all of these people around me that are the best is really kind of so success is, and it's not fleeting. I have never felt like not successful. So I don't know. I think it's how you're raised.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Good.
Well, congratulations on all your success. John McGivern's Main Street's debuts on Wisconsin PBS in January.
Yeah.
The DVR's already set.
Good.
At the Sherman House, and it should be all over Wisconsin for sure.
Thanks.
Hopcast. Follow us on social media and watch it. Subscribe on YouTube and watch for the next episode because we're always filming. We're always right here in downtown Milwaukee. It's beautiful. Thanks for hopping on. Thank you, John McGivern. Appreciate your time.
Good seeing you.
Cheers.
To you.